All right, so now we've prepared for the relationship. Now we want to prepare for the service visit. And we've talked about this a little bit before in another video. I want to get into more detail on this, and that is using predictive service maintenance tracking. That's a mouthful, hey? Basically what it is looking into your management system service history to track what services have you done before, and then based on the miles driven per day and the service interval of that service, when will it be due in the future? This is really important because it really transforms the customer service experience. And I'm going to say that explaining to you what basically 95% of the industry is doing right now. And it's that Mrs. Smith brings her car into the shop. She needs a oil change and a tire rotation. And the shop brings the vehicle in and then proceeds to do an inspection. They come back to Mrs. Smith and explain to her that there's $3, $4, $5, $7, over $1,000 worth of extra work that needs to be done that she was not aware of. Now, I understand as a shop, we're just doing our job. We want to make sure that the customer's vehicle is safe. That's why we have inspections. Unfortunately, to the customer, it just comes off as a fishing expedition for work that we can sell. So we want to transform that experience so they don't feel that way about it. And we do that by tracking and aging the services. So when the vehicle comes in the shop, you should be able to have a good understanding of what's going on based on the services that you've done, or maybe what you found on Carfax or other sources that I've given you before. And what you want to do is give a report, something like this, okay? This is the service intelligence report. And you can see on there, there's a transfer case that is past due. It's kind of hard to focus in on that, but it's about 6 months. There's the front differential past due. There's a few services that are past due. More importantly, here's all the services that are not due yet and how much life is in them, okay? Just to explain how this works to transform the experience. Usually most advisors get into the inspection and they dive into what the vehicle needs. And what we want to do instead is dive into what's not needed. And again, I just want to remind you, you can do this with a spreadsheet. You don't have to use service intelligence, but service intelligence saves you a heck of a lot of time by automatically digging into your service history of your management system. So, but going back to this, present the information in blue first. Present what we are not selling you. What we're trying to do is tell our customer that we are working on building the most affordable maintenance plan money can buy for them. By doing that, we will never sell them a service prematurely. We are going to squeeze every mile out of every service for them, ensuring that there's no dollars wasted. So by saying that transmission fluid flush has 58 more months life left in it. The system's preventing me from selling this to you. The powering steering flush has 37 months life into it. Well, the belt service looks like it's going to be due in 3 days. Maybe we want to take care of that while you're here. You don't want to come back in 3 days, right? But again, we're trying to build that case that we will never sell you stuff you don't need in our shop. And so once we've explained that to them, that's when we get into the stuff that's in the red or the stuff that's now past due. And we can say, well, that transfer case service is 6 months overdue. The front differential is 6 months overdue. We're now able to sell them this information before the inspection. Let me make that clear. It's much easier to sell to someone when they're in front of you versus afterwards via email, via phone, via text message with your inspection tablet pictures. Okay? It's much more comforting. You can read their body language. You can see how they're accepting the message that you're telling them, and you know how to better counter any questions they have, any objections they have. It's much better to sell as much as you can up front before the inspection. I know this goes against the grain of what the industry has been doing for a long time, but I'm telling you, the shops who do this, I hear from them all the time. They can't believe how easy it is to get the sales up front. Then your inspection just finds the couple repairs that are needed. The leaking shock that you can't track, the U-joint that is busted, the torn boot on something, the things that you can't track as maintenance, the inspection only finds that afterwards. And so again, that's a very clear communication to your customer, is that that's what our inspection is to do. It's strictly to find the safety concerns or repairs that we can't predict. Our reporting that goes through the maintenance for you, that's to keep you informed so you can make your vehicle last as long as possible. Well, the dealership's objective is to bring you back to the dealership every 4 years for a new car. We'd like to see you, if you want, to stay in your car for 7, 8, 10 plus years and still have a great, reliable car that you love. And what that's going to do is save you thousands of dollars a year in depreciation and car payments. We'll be able to give you the most affordable plan to vehicle ownership. Keep note of all these words that I'm using in this video. You might want to take some notes. We'll have them in the notes as well of the training. But like some of these words I'm saying are very specific as how you want to say this. Another reason for tracking the maintenance is to prepare your customer on an ongoing basis, to inform them, to have open records with them, okay? So again, it's no longer coming to the shop and being told, oh, your coolant is way past due, your transmission service needs to be done, your differentials, whatever it is. It's not a big surprise when they come to the shop. When a customer comes to you often enough, you're able to tell them and show them. We last did those front brakes on December 10th, 2016. And according to the mileage drive per day, you've got about 50 more months of life added to that. And the reason also why we do this in time instead of measurements, we don't understand measurements, right? You got X amount of mils left on those brakes. You got a certain percentage left on those brakes. You tell me I've got 40% left, I don't know what that means. But if you can estimate based on miles driven per day and say that looks like that's going to be about 12, 13 months, now I know what that means. Now I know I can plan ahead. I can budget for maintenance. I'm not saying that when you're doing this that your customer is going to remember each individual service. Yes, you want to print it to them, give it to them so they can walk away with it. But there's certain details that they're going to forget. They're going to throw that paper away after being around the house for a couple of days. But if every visit you're consistently showing them what's going on, what's going to happen is they're going to come in and you're going to say, yes, that transmission service is due. And they're going to be like, yeah, you know what? I remember looking at that and I remember you saying that would most likely be due the next time I came in. And so, again, we're just helping plan, prepare, consult. I do a lot of sales and customer service training that I take in, and you'll see that all the experts say a very similar thing. The more that you surprise your customers, the more uncomfortable they are. Okay? You need to have a process that's predictable, operate within that process with no surprises if you can. But at least if we can track these and communicate our services, we can reduce greatly the amount of surprises we give our customers. I ask this question quite often with shops as I'm working with them. I say, when you do your vehicle inspection reports, when the technician gives it back to the advisor, of all the findings of everything that needs to be done on that report, what percentage of those are neglected maintenance and repairs that could have been avoided if proper maintenance was done. And I usually get an answer of somewhere between 60 to 80%. The other 20 to 40% are just repairs. Things just naturally can break over time, or there's an accident or something breaks. You can't predict. So essentially, by using predictive service management tracking, you are able to reduce the shock of the inspection by 60 to 80%. You can't tell me that is not going to make your customer ecstatic when you can reduce that. So I'm going to just leave it there, stress to you, I don't care how you do it. Yes, we have a program. You might be in this course because you use our program. You might be in this course because you just want to get some training on service advising. I've seen shops who build reports like this. Let me get that back on the frame so you can see it again. And they use spreadsheets. And every time work is done, they enter it on the spreadsheet for the customer's vehicle. And then when the customer comes in, they can pull up the spreadsheet because management systems are not tracking this stuff well yet. And when they come to us and use our system, they know that this works for selling. They don't question it. They're like, yeah, that's why we've been doing it with spreadsheets. The biggest difference is we're saving them an hour or two a day of extra manual entry work. So there's a huge time savings in using our program for something like this. So I'll leave it with that. We'll jump on the next video here, and we'll catch you then.